Hello, this is Dr. Gardner. I thought I'd show you a brief tutorial on how to use the McDraw plugin to draw Lewis structures in your McGraw-Hill Connect homework software. Many of you are having a little bit of trouble with submitting a correct Lewis structure. Maybe you're making a little mistake with respect to drawing the structures in the McDraw plugin. So I thought I'd give you some advice and show you how to do this. Now, first of all, I need to warn you that if you have a browser without the correct plugins in order to load the McDraw from McGraw-Hill Connect, you may not see this box that I have up on screen right now at all. You need to make sure that you're using a browser that we find is compatible with McGraw-Hill Connect and its plugins, such as the McDraw plugin. We've had success here on campus with Chrome. Firefox seems to do a pretty good job. I would say to avoid Internet Explorer because it doesn't seem to load all the plugins correctly, so you don't see everything that you should. I've also seen students with trouble with Safari on their Apple computers as their browser not being supported. So I recommend maybe you try to use a PC computer here on campus and use one of our Chrome browsers, and you should have the best success. Okay, so just a warning there, if you're not seeing what you should, try a different browser, try a different computer. With respect to using the McDraw plugin, realize when you have problems that require that you draw a Lewis structure on McGraw-Hill Connect, there'll be a little box for you to click on. When you click on that box, you'll open up the screen that I've shown you here. And then we can start to draw our structures. So there's a nice tool set to help you start drawing structures, including if you have more complex structures, there's some nice tools. You won't need those when you're first starting to draw Lewis structures. But let's try drawing the Lewis structure for diatomic iodine when there's two iodines together. Now I recommend before you even try drawing the structure in the McGraw-Hill Connect McDraw bots, do it on paper first so you can go ahead and play with your structure and get what you think is a correct structure that is stable with respect to having complete octets around the atom. But once you've decided that the diatomic iodine has a single bond and 3 lone pairs on each iodine, we could go ahead and draw it in the McDraw plugin. So I could go ahead and click my text spots here, and I can put that anywhere on my screen that I'd like. I can type in the capital I for elemental iodine, and then I know there's a single bond from that iodine to another. So I'm going to draw a single bond, and I can left click and drag to place my single bond to the location that I want, and then I hit my text spots again and click the other end of the single bond, and I can place my atom. Now make sure you click the end of the bond. If you have not attached the text spots to the other end of your chemical bond, you may have it placed and the computer will think that it's a separate atom, not part of this bonding group, and then you may not get credit for it. So I go ahead and type in the atom bonded to the other end of my bond as another elemental iodine, and I can hit enter. At that point, I want to show my lone pairs. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a lone pair of electrons. I recommend placing lone pairs. Don't try to place single pairs of electrons. That indicates free radicals or odd numbers of electrons in some types of molecules or different species we might look at, and we're not focusing on free radicals right now. So I'm going to grab a lone pair. Each iodine, diatomic iodine, should have 3 lone pairs. So I'm going to click on the actual text spots for the element symbol for iodine. I just click on it 3 times. It adds my 3 lone pairs. So I do that on the other iodine as well. So I make sure I've selected that element symbol that I want to add the lone pairs to, and then I just click on it 3 times and it adds my 3 lone pairs. So there would give me a correct answer if I submitted this for the answer for diatomic iodine. If I wanted to look at diatomic oxygen, well, diatomic oxygen would have 2 options present. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the first one. I'm going to add a single, and in fact, if we draw the Lewis structure first, we realize it's a double bond, right? So I'm going to draw a double bond, drag that over to show where I want the double bond, and then I add a text spot. I click on the end of the double bond. You notice I get this little blue confirmation that that's where I'm adding my text spot, so it is connected to the bond. I click there, I add another oxygen atom, and hit enter. Now I have my 2 oxygen atoms bonded, but I realize I need 2 lone pairs on the oxygens. So I'm going to go over and click my lone pair tool, click on the oxygen atom twice. That's going to give me my 2 lone pairs. The other oxygen I'm going to click on twice. That'll give me 2 lone pairs. That'll give me a correct Lewis structure for diatomic oxygen. Let's try diatomic nitrogen. Now I'm picking this because we're seeing single, double, and triple bonds. So if I look at diatomic nitrogen, I add my text spots with a nitrogen atom. We know there's a triple bond that's attached between them if I've drawn my Lewis structure in advance. So I go ahead and drag my bond over to where I want it to connect. I click on my TET spots. I make sure I select the end of the triple bond. I can add my next nitrogen. And then when I show the lone pairs of electrons, I can click on each nitrogen to show those. Okay, so these would give me the correct answer for the location of all my atoms and my bonds and my lone pairs for diatomic iodine, diatomic oxygen, and diatomic nitrogen. Now, let's consider a case where we don't have a nice linear molecule. Let's consider maybe ammonia. So if I was drawing the structure for ammonia, I would go ahead and put my central atom in first. So my central atom for ammonia would be nitrogen. And then I can go ahead and realize from my handwritten work of ammonia that there should be 3 single bonds. Now it tries to add hydrogens if you haven't shown all the bonds, but I actually wanted to show the structure a little bit more. So I added 3 single bonds by clicking and dragging 3 times into 3 locations. Then I can add my TET spots. I can add at the end of each bond a hydrogen in 3 locations. Make sure you would select the end of the bond, because if you place the hydrogen not attached to the chemical bond, the program will not give you credit because it won't think that's part of the same molecule. Now I have everything here except for the lone pair on the nitrogen. So if I want to show the lone pair on the nitrogen, I just click my lone pair, click on the element symbol I want the lone pair on, click it on once. Here I have my formula for ammonia, and that would be the correct Lewis structure. Let's consider a case where maybe we have phosphorus difluoride. So phosphorus difluoride has a very similar structure to the ammonia. If we were to draw its Lewis structure, the central atom will be the phosphorus. Now it's trifluoride, so I'm going to need 3 single bonds to each of the fluoride atoms. Okay, so I can go ahead and add my TET spots, and I click at the end of each of my bonds. I add a fluorine, add a fluorine, add a third fluorine. Now I need to show lone pairs. Now my phosphorus needs a lone pair in order to have a full octet, and each fluorine needs 3. So I can click on a fluorine atom, click just 3 times, it adds my 3 lone pairs. And see, once we learn some of these basics of using the ChemDraw plugin for McGraw-Hill Connect, it's fairly simple to draw these Lewis structures. I was hoping this tutorial video will just help you out in case you're having any trouble submitting your Lewis structures. Most likely culprits is either you can't enter this window because you don't have the right plugins, maybe you need to try a different browser or a different computer, or the other scenarios is if you don't correctly connect your bonds to each of the TET spots, or if you don't completely connect your TET spots to the other end of the bond, or a lone pair to the TET spots. So just make sure you're clicking at the ends of your bonds to add another TET spots for an atom that's bonded there covalently. Make sure you also click on your atom symbol with your lone pair tool and just click there as many times as you want to add numbers of lone pairs. It's very simple once you've seen that, so hopefully that'll help you out. When you're completed with this, with your Lewis structure you want to submit, usually we'll only have 1 Lewis structure in the box. When we submit it, we'll just say save and exit, and then you can check your work if that's all of the answers for that problem. So hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. It's a pretty short one. If you have any other questions or any other examples you needed me to show you an example of how to draw the Lewis structures for, please let me know. Have a great day, everybody.